Good morning. Welcome to Sunrise Daily, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. It's 23 degrees here in the Federal Capital Territory. I imagine it's also getting cool in Lagos, Ayo.
Yes, good morning and welcome. I'm Ayo Makini. Welcome to your daily dose of sunshine. I can't forget that, should we? Well, 27 degrees here in Lagos and quite a number of things to drop on you this morning. Well, one of the things that we would like to very much bring to your notice is a kind of updates on the things that have been happening, particularly in Niger State. We understand that as at now, given the devastating flood, 160 people bodies have been recovered. The number has risen to 160 following the recovery of additional bodies. And of course, it's a developing story. The figure was confirmed in a statement by the Acting Director General of the Niger State Emergency Management Agency, Ibrahim Husseini. Well, according to him, 5 more bodies were recovered as part of the latest search operations. 4 were discovered on the evening of 2 days back. Another 5th body was discovered just today. A whole load of stuff that we continue to find out from time to time. Well, we had this skyline lined up for you in Kano, located in the Gwazo local government area. If we can just bring that up right away. It's all parts of stuff, to just let us know the things that could or could not have happened, in the course of all of the issues that have been happening around there. What were those things that could have been avoided that happened? Well, more of those things we continue to hear. We understand that the Environment Minister paid a visit to Niger State yesterday just to know what's happening. But this is Kano Dam, and for those who are wondering, yes, Kano is in the northern part of Nigeria. It is not all land and brown sand and all, no. This is Kano Dam, located around the Gwazo local government area of the state. And it is, as you can see, the beauty of it cannot be denied, and it has the purpose for which it was built. Whether or not that purpose is being fulfilled, I guess is one of the many questions we are able to ask, right now. But this is what we have in Kano. Mokwa.
Well, Ayo, indeed. I mean, water is something that we need to view with plenty of caution these days. We know that we cannot do without water. The world is at least 70% water from what we know. And in recent times, the federal government has had to warn us. I think it was just yesterday, the Minister of Water Resources, yes, Professor Joseph Utsev, released a warning saying that 30 states, 1,249 communities in 30 states are now at risk of flooding. So yes, while we look at the water in the dam, in recent times, particularly in this rainy season, we need to be cautious what we do with rainwater. How are we preparing to make sure that it doesn't constitute a hazard to everyday Nigerians? You just mentioned the situation in Niger State. And I think the Minister of Water Resources also gave another update, because it would seem that there's been some misinformation now with regards to what caused the flooding. And I think some people had said, oh, waters were also released from the dam. But the minister is clarifying that no waters were released from any dam, no dam broke. And that what happened was as a result of heavy rainfall and climate change. We're going to be going to Niger State shortly to speak with the Acting Director General of the State Emergency Management Agency. But just before we do, we're going to play this report of the minister giving an update on the situation in Niger State, and also issuing a warning to 1,249 communities. You have to, if you're watching this program and you know any of the communities that are involved, please do also send a notice to people that you might know could be affected by the warnings that have been issued. But here's what the Minister of Water Resources had to say yesterday.
The flash floods are popping up across the country following the incessant rainfall, and the latest flood disaster happened in Mokwa town, Niger State. The Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation convened this crucial meeting to provide clarity on the Mokwa flood disaster.
It's as a result of inadequate drainages within the vicinity, and which arise with high rainfall. There is a railway that passes between River Dingi and Mokwa town, Mokwa settlement. And we are meant to understand that the community or the area under flooding is a flood plain where people in the past were advised not to settle. I'd like to emphasize that the flood was not caused by water release from either the Kanji or Jeba dams, and that both dams are intact.
The Nigerian Meteorological Agency had predicted heavy rainfall from Monday, June 2nd to Wednesday, June 4th, 2025 in most parts of the country. And the minister is urging state governors to take necessary steps to address any dangers.
I'll give our recommendations of what should be put in place. Clearing of our block drainages, building of more drainages, that enlightenment campaign for those that are living on the floodplain, and the encroachment of our floodplain by residents. That is the warnings we gave in April this year, and that is what we are still reopening today.
The minister also reiterates the 2025 annual flood outlook, which shows that 1,249 communities in 176 local government areas across 33 states and the FCT fall within the high flood risk areas.
Well, Dr. Ibrahim Hussaini joins us now. He's the Acting Director General of the Niger State Emergency Management Agency. It's good to see you. Thank you so much for your patience on the program this morning. It's been really, really sad watching the tragedy that have befallen the people of Mokwa town. What more can you tell us is the current situation in Mokwa 3 days after this flooding has happened?
Thank you and good morning, Nigerians. I want to say that the issue is very, very massive. There has been confusion everywhere. People lost their lives, lost their properties, lost their ways of livelihood. So it is not unexpected that you have over, when you have over 3,000 plus that were directly or indirectly affected, we expect this kind of commotion or this kind of confusion. People are having problems socially, psychologically, they are affected mentally and socially. It has disrupted their way of normal way of living life. And that is what we call disaster. They need external help. And as of yesterday, just like you have said, we have over 160 people who have lost their life. The relief assistance has continued to come from different angles. The Niger State government has moved all its activities into Mokwa with all the relevant agency commissioners, permanent secretaries, every person that's involved. The deputy governor on every other time is always with us. I talked to you, they are already coming on their way. Is already coming here to receive the vice president. He was here yesterday with the minister of works. So it is very, very massive. And the government, as you can see, we have a governor who has his #1 priority as farming. And the people at this receiving end of this are all farmers. So it's not risky on his horses to see that Soko has been bringing to these people. But there is pandemic, there is confusion. And there is what you call completely the disorganization of the people physically and mentally, including socially, of the people that are affected. But we thank God that the governor too his contact is able to mobilize all stakeholders, and they are coming differently with relief intervention with different suggestions, with different expert knowledge to see how we can overcome it, including the federal government, the NEMA, and other relevant agencies.
Would you say that the recovery efforts are currently over, or are they still ongoing? Because we understand a number of persons have not been accounted for since the floods happened.
Yes, recovery process is still ongoing. We have the state government has sorted all the chairmen that are within those facilities, and we in the ground there is liaising. We are liaising with the local divers, the local boat owners, the fishermen, including the people that farm along those riverbanks, because the water from that place flew into River Niger, and that is where we are concentrating our efforts on now. And also the debris of the bushes that are there, because people that were from two people that were recovered late yesterday, or after yesterday, were recovered inside on the ground in the debris of the trees, and also the debris that this flood come along with. So the search and rescue operation is still ongoing. But as you know, when it comes to water and other things, NEWA is also involved. So the locals are the one assisting us now in the issue of the search and rescue operations.
Well, looking at the visuals, I mean, when you look at the visuals of the post-flooding, situation, it doesn't look pretty at all. It does look like it will take a while before the residents are able to get their lives back again. And this disaster has now occurred at the beginning. Well, some people say maybe it's right in the middle of the rainy season. There is no guarantee that such rains will not fall again. What would you say you are doing to make sure that if such a rain should fall again, this time around, the citizens are a little more prepared?
Yes, those that are directly affected have been, they were having problems. They were having initial resistance of them going to plan, because the community is like a single community. They were all related to each other. So most of them are having problem. We were having problem with them going to the camp. They prefer to stay with their neighbors. So, and it will bring congestion, it will bring discomfort. So we are gradually talking to them, and they are gradually beginning to accept our position that they should be in the camp. Yesterday, even when the minister came, they went to where the camp is. NEMA has provided some tents, including UNICEF. Yesterday, they were all erecting the tents in various locations. So people are now cooperating, because initially the trauma they were going through, and also the fact that they were concentrating on trying to recover these corpses, and also the fact that some of them were excavating where they are building collapse to see if they can salvage some certain items that belong to them. So that is where everybody was concentrating. But now the issue of trying to bring them back to normalcy is the next issue. The Minister of the Commissioner of Works, the Commissioner of Housing, of Real Estate and Environment has all been engaged, and they are currently there to see how best they can handle the issue of their accommodations, because they cannot continue to stay in this camp. When you stay in the camp, dependency and the funding of the government is almost stretched. So these people, the policymakers, are at best the ones that are planning. They have an executive. We are in the field as field workers, and the executives are also doing their own at the instruction of our governor to see how we can bring these people back to their normalcy. But it's not going to be an easy task, and it's not going to be a thing that you said in 2-3 days it's over. It's going to be a gradual thing that will have a plan, something, because these people will not be moved to where they will now be experiencing this again. And then this flood that is coming, nobody will be allowed to remain in this flood place, including those ones. And again, the state government has already, before now, secure funding for the drainaging of all this, the environment and of Mokwa and other environments. They were all in the process, and that is why that is what any month from now the drainaging will begin, and then will reduce even the future occurrence. The issue of the transportation, the movement of the vehicles has already also been addressed, because the governor has liaised with the Minister of Works and also the contractors there, and yesterday they were able to move their vehicles, heavy vehicles to site, including payloaders, the tractors, excavators, and the road has been managed, and then the transport, the vehicles are flooding. They are flowing now, so there's no obstruction in the traffic flow now.
How would you say, I mean, would you say that Niger State has been able to take into account all that has been, you know, affected by this flood? Would you be able to say that you now know for sure how many houses were affected? You know, well, you say you're still in the search and rescue, so it's unclear in that area. How many hectares of farmland? Because we understand that farmlands were also affected by this flood. Do you have concrete numbers now?
Yes, that was the farmland, because the issue of life is very, very important. That was the farmland is a thing that's going to be handled by Ministry of Agri, and is going to be handled by expert, and it's on the process. But what the government is concentrating on now is how to the living, how to take care of the living, to cut out for the living, and they are seriously working on that. We have 267 houses that were involved. We have 503 households that were involved, because when we initially tried to attempt to do distribution, there were heavy flow of people. Everybody was just coming, and with the situation of the country, everybody wants to be part of it. And so people also try to take advantage of this to get what they can get, or to enrich themselves. So we have to stop and then do what you call proper profiling in collaboration with Nsema, IOM, Red Cross, and the communities themselves. They gave us volunteers. The leaders gave us volunteers because they know themselves, they know who they are. So we did that. We have a comprehensive list, and it is based on this list that we are now giving them relief assistance, based on the list of households that we are giving the relief assistance.
Okay, so I don't know whether I know my colleague Ayo will be coming in shortly to, you know, also ask you some questions. But in fairness, Dr. Hussaini, the National Emergency Management Agency had been warning about floods. They have issued alerts, and you know, they've asked people on floodplains to move out of those places. You've confirmed that Mokwa, it would seem that the part that has now been affected was sitting on a floodplain, and now we have experienced a disaster. Do you think that your agency, which is the one at the state level, could have done something to prevent this disaster?
Yes, I want to tell you that because of climate change, and then the climate variability, and also the issue of deforestation, new areas that you never expect flooding are flooded. And as such, I want to tell you that the flood that happened was never a flood that you can expect or can predict this time around, because Mokwa town, Mokwa local government was among the local government that were predicted that are going to have flooding. We have some villages down the stream, because some of they share boundary with the River Niger. But Mokwa town as a whole, every side, from the south, from the west, from the east, and from the north, you have over 30 kilometers to any major flowing river or tributaries. So nobody has expected that, or nobody ever expected that this kind of thing will happen in Mokwa. What we normally have is a flash flood that lasted for some few hours and it disappears. Without loss of life, maybe just enter people's house and then probably affect their properties, their belongings, but never loss of life like this. So Mokwa was never given as a flashpoint, because they are not sitting directly under either the upstream or downstream of any Mokwa town itself, of any either dam or river. So this was unexpected, and as usual, the governor and the government of Niger State, including through Nsema, does not wait even for the prediction or for the data from Nsema, because since the inception of Niger State in 1976, because of our location, because of the topology nature of Niger State, and we normally witness flood, but the magnitude varies. So we don't wait for these predictions. The governor we have is a proactive governor that does not wait for this prediction. He has put so many things in place to forestall the occurrence, including this Mokwa. There is a 10 kilometers road reconstruction and rehabilitation of road going on in Mokwa, and one of the cardinal aspects of it is drainaging of all the areas so that the flash flooding, not Mokwa alone, the whole 25 local government of the state, including the federal, and every other place that is constructing road, either the township road or road from one local government to another, the issue of drainages have been reconstructed, redirected, and rechanneled. And as such, because most of the metropolitans will have what we normally witness, apart of the river floodings or those that are the downstream, we witness a flash flooding, Suleja, Bida, Kontogora, and Mina. So based on this, reconstruction heavily of drainages and bridges are going on, and these are all aimed at reducing the impact of flood or flood control. These are all impact. So, and on a yearly basis, we do what we call sensitization. We do what is called castigating or downscaling to the communities. This incident happened, we are in a community in both local government, downscaling this with Nsema, talking to them after this thing. Even yesterday, Niger State Emergency had a stakeholders meeting to do what you call upgrading or reviewing of our contingency plan for the preparedness and response plan for this year. And then from there, everybody is moving down. The villages, the community leaders are all involved, the traditional rulers. We have volunteers. We have the local government emergency management committee. The governor has provided funds for all people to go around and ensure that these people are informed and they are aware of disaster effect. But let me tell you and let me assure you that as far as the NHS is concerned, every segment of society that is at risk, they know it, we are aware, and they also know it themselves. But the problem we are having is attitudinal change. People attached to their with sentiment to their associated home. And as such, the governor is also building what you call massive resettlement sites in collaboration with Nsema themselves, UNDP, Federal Ministry of Housing in various locations in the state. So the governor is doing everything he could do to see that he reduce the impact, because we are being crisscrossed by two major impacts, Kaduna and River Niger, with major tributaries. That is why we house 4 good dams in the state. So we are aware of what the hazard of flooding, and the state government is on its toes, seeing that we gradually take people out of this danger.
Well, we have to thank you for all the work that you have been doing, Mr. Zainab. The job you have on your hands is not an easy one, and sincere condolences to all the people who have lost lives and property as well. But to the issue you raised about no one expecting that the Mokwa would be flooded, help me understand it better, because a quick search, would tell us that flooding in Mokwa dates back as far as 2001. The very first major flooding in Mokwa happened in 2001, and there have been 5 others. So after that, before the one that we're currently experiencing now. So it goes back to the question. I mean, you also spoke about the fact that, the tributaries, weren't expecting to be flooded and all of that. But the federal government is saying that it is blocked tributary and climate change that are responsible for what we are having on our hands now. We knew it was happening. That's the real issue here. We knew that this was coming because last month, the federal government, through the Hydrological Services Agency, predicted and warned that 30 states are going to be affected, and Niger State was one of them. And a number of state governments are also doing the bit that they can. So it goes back to, what hard decisions would you say needed to have been taken that sympathy prevailed over those hard decisions? We had the conversation with the Commissioner for the Environment in Lagos, and he said that the only thing that has helped this state is the hard decisions, moving people to protect their own lives and property. What hard decisions do you think had to be subjected yesterday, I beg your pardon, in Niger State, to sentiments as opposed to protection of lives and property, which of course is always a difficult decision to take?
I want to tell you that if your correspondent is in Mina here, he will tell you better. The governor is destroying, on this reconstruction of this new Niger project, is demolishing houses to pave way for roads and also drainages. In fact, this particular place where this incident happened was already earmarked for completing demolition and resettlement, because the governor has already secured a funding for the drainage of that place and the whole Mokwa as a whole, because there's a kind of a glue erosion that passed through Mokwa. But what we are saying is that Mokwa local government was among.
Oh, yeah. Well, some internet interruption there, but we'll definitely get back to that. Well, you know, the incidents that's happened in Mokwa is something that a good number of people hope would never happen again, which is the reason for the incessant and continuous warning. Well, go ahead. We lost you for a bit, Mr. Husseini.
Okay, I said
oh, dear. All right. We'll definitely, you know, bring him back. But what you are seeing on your screen is the very disheartening and saddening experience that people are having right now, having to live with in Mokwa in Niger State. You know, and as Mokwa mentioned earlier, you know, recovering from this is going to take a while. Well, Mr. Husseini, we apologize that, you know, for these internet disruptions. What would be your recommendation on how the people of Mokwa in particular in Niger State, can come back from this? What are the things that you think need to be done? What's the help that is needed? Who are the people that we should be appealing to so that people can get their lives back as quickly as possible? You mentioned something very, very critical, that the people who are most affected are farmers. And we know the level of life, you know, how difficult life could be going forward as a result of this occurrence. What are your recommendations on how we come back from this?
Number one, on the background, the governor is called the farmer governor because he believes farming could be one of the vehicles that will drive the transformation agenda of the new Nigeria. So his attention is focused on farming and farmers. So he's seeing these people as his number one constituency. So he has directed and is doing everything through his contact in the federal, out of Nigeria, and also international partners and donor agencies to come to the aid of these people, because he believes that these people are his number one priority and they need to be adequately taken care of. And then to fashion a way out of them so that normalcy will return to their life. So the governor has taken it upon himself as a challenge that these are my people and this is my constituency as a farmer. And that is why you see he has Niger food, he has new Niger, and it's going on. So it is my belief that the governor himself is personally handling the issue of these people coming back to their feet. So in no distant time, it's going to take time and it's going to be capital intensive and it's going to be very rigorous. What I'm telling you, the governor we have, by the grace of God, is a governor that is equal to the task. He worked like a bulldozer. These people will surely come back to their feet. Through him, through Nsema, through the federal government, because that is why he's inviting all the relevant stakeholders and agencies and MDs to come to that place to see themselves for themselves and see how they can take part in the rehabilitation process and the construction process of this. So it's going to be done. What remains now is rehabilitation, reconstruction, and the settlement process. And that will definitely be done because the governor is working towards this. All the commissioners, all the permanent secretary, in fact, the government activities of the United States is now shifted into Mokwa. And it is my belief that we have more experts, more professionals, and executive decisions will be taken that will be in favor of these people. That is the work of our governor.
So Husseini, while you're concentrating on trying to keep people alive, there are questions as to, you know, rations of food. We've had some complaints from people in the temporary camp. There's been no water, etc. Have those complaints been listened to, and, you know, is something being done about it?
Yes, when you have over 3,000 people at this time of situation, there must be problem, and then you continue to try to improve and upscale your attention or your service supply to them. So as the time goes on, you continue to stabilize, and then you reach what you call ultimate level, where every other person is taken care of and every other situation is met. So at this initial process, every disaster manager knows that we are going to encounter problems that will need to be addressed gradually, because there are the population at this situation is a very massive population, and this is what we didn't. That's what they call disaster. We didn't prepare for that. So it's going to be a gradual process that will be perfecting and upscaling our service provision, and gradually it will be done. That is why I told you that many people, the Minister of Water, the Minister of Environment, Minister of Health, they came, they brought medicines, they brought drugs. Other people, the wife of the governor was also there with his NGO and also directed, give some instructions on how best to take, especially women and children. That's why it's one constituency. It's
all right, Dr. Hosseini, we will keep tabs with you as we also keep tabs with the people in the camp. We sincerely hope that they are able to get back on their feet in no distant time. Thank you so much for speaking with us this morning on Sunrise Daily. Dr. Ibrahim Hosseini is the Acting Director General, the Niger State Emergency Management Agency.
Thank you.
We'll take a break and be back shortly. Please stay with us.
Thank you for staying with us. Still on disaster management and general preparedness for this flooding. One of the states that's been predicted that will be affected by the torrential flooding this year is Ogun State. And right now we have Mr. Ola Oresanya, Commissioner for the Environment in Ogun State, joining us to have a conversation on something that happened recently. Thank you for joining us this morning, Mr. Oresanya.
Thank you very much.
Well, we have begun to see some of those images of the thunderstorm that toppled communication masts on some houses in Ogun State. We understand the event, the communication mast belonging to Ija's company located in Akute, Ogun State, collapsed due to severe weather conditions. The mast fell on a residential building at Alagbole. What can you tell us? What else can you tell us about that, sir?
Well, I think that's got to do with the health and safety of infrastructures. And I think that is why in Ogun State, we have our agency off ground now on our health and safety. And that agency is steadily working. And that is got to do with protection of our people, infrastructure safety under the people, so that we avoid accidents, we avoid emergencies. So I think we are off ground now, and we have our consultants who are going around to ensure that even industrial health and safety, workers' health and safety, we are going around everywhere. If you look at the mass area there where this thing fell, there are no certification, all right, for safety standards. So Ogun State now has its own safety policy, the safety standard that people like you are having masts, having towers, that are operating your industrial activities. You have to run with that health and safety standard in Ogun State. So it's all about policy and ensuring that we implement our policy to the letters.
Is that, are you alleging some negligence on the part of the organization?
Oh, definitely, definitely. Because every mast, you're supposed to install this kind of mast and towers to withstand the most kind of adverse weather condition. All right. If they cannot withstand the adverse weather condition, then they are not fit to be installed anywhere at all. So it's not about the weather; it's about the safety of what you have installed. If you look at the metal that was used in there, is that the right gauge of metal that you use to carry the kind of a weight you are putting on the mast? There are people do use a lighter metal to carry heavy devices on them. So we need to have there are minimum standard for such kind of device, a metal that you must use. And that's exactly what we have to do as regulators in Ogun State.
Well, it sounds like I hear two issues here, Mr. Oresanya. One is whether or not they had the right or the license to use that area in the first place, or that particular facility that they used. And second issue is that of the materials used to construct the mast that we're talking about here. Am I missing something?
No, you're not missing anything. You're absolutely correct. location, all right, for siting this mast have to be given by NCC, the Nigerian Communication Center. Said the NCC has to give this approval. Now, once the approval is given, the onus is on the state to ensure the safety. If you can, we must further conduct the environmental impact assessment of this location to know the impact. If you cannot pass the checklist of impact assessment in that area, then you cannot install, despite your license. Okay. Now, the physical planning also must approve the land that you must use. The physical planning will approve. NCC will give you the license. Then the Ministry of the Environment ensure the safety of what you want to do there. So the question here is that thing fell off, all right, because it's not just an accident, all right, it wasn't an accident. It means that you have actually under-deployed the kind of instrument, kind of the facilities that are supposed to put there. Maybe the metal was the wrong metal that you used to install this thing. So just because you already have the license and you already have the approval of the physical planning does not mean you take safety for granted.
Well, Mr. Nsema, it's very interesting because from what we know in the particular sector, IHS in Nigeria operates about 6,000 telecom towers and manages something in the region of 15,000 kilometers of fiber infrastructures. I'm waiting to see how this investigation that you're talking about will be conducted and the outcome of it. But to the issue of, flooding and everything, we understand that the Ogun State government is engaging with all the local governments in the state to ensure that the kind of calamities that we are hearing in different parts of the country do not come. Can you tell us the level of preparation and what issues have, you may be encountering? What we are talking about in Ogun State right now, this telecom collapse, is just one, and it is due to a heavy downpour. That is the news that is coming out from the report that the police has released. Are there other risk areas in Ogun State like that?
Well, Ogun State is highly industrialized. So it's, when it comes to rain, when it comes to accidents, well, we're vulnerable also because Ogun State is also highly urbanized, just almost like Lagos. And so we know the areas of our risk, all right? And the risk area, when it comes to, we have our risk with dry season, we have the wet season risk, and all the risk that's got to do with a lot of the human activities and development are being clearly mapped out, and we have human resources that are deployed to make sure we avert such risk. I'll give you a good example of that. Before this administration came in 2019, the Prince Akwabiodun, Ogun State had a very terrible case of flood disaster then. The whole of Abeokuta then, Amola Shore, the Shokori River was a major source of disaster then. We had fatality. A lot of people died. Houses were destroyed. But immediately we find out what led to this problem: waste management. Waste were dumped indiscriminately within these waterways and the rest of it. So they clustered all the channel. Immediately we established institution, that is the OGWAMA, the Ogun State Waste Management Authority, to take care of waste. Go around the city of Abeokuta now. It's all clean, and I can tell you clean. All right, that tells you that we have less waste going into the draining channel. Okay, then we have an agency that is up to the task, doing what they're supposed to do. We're expanding to all the other cities. Other cities are experiencing it, but we are yet to get the same level of efficiency that we have in Abeokuta. But that tells you it can be done. There's a proof of concept in Abeokuta right now, which we are scaling up. Now, have we had any disaster like that since the last 6 years? No. We always have around the Sherry area in Lagos, we always have what we call the coastal flooding. The coastal flooding is a response to the climate change, where you have a tidal rise in the tidal level at the coast, at the lagoon, Lagos Lagoon. And what are we doing to mitigate that? All right, we're opening up new tributaries for the Ogun River. The Ogun River is the area where you have this cluster, okay, where we have the retention. So the capacity of Ogun River to withhold more water, that's exactly what we're doing. And last year we had a proof of concept also. Normally, the retention around that area will go for as long as probably about 6 to 7 weeks before you have the regression of the water. But last year was just about 2 weeks. And I'm sure many people in the area, the community will tell you, it was because we opened up the Okparo River, the tributaries in the area. And the same thing we are doing this year to open up more so that during the coastal flooding area period, we can actually make sure that our people get the right relief they require. So on our side, we have to deploy more capacity to make sure we first of all address the infrastructure deficit. Then, what the people need to do? We are collaborating with them. I've had several meetings with people around the area where we are going to have the flash flood problem, and area where we are going to have the coastal flood problem. So we are meeting, we are consulting, and we are deploying the local government team to make sure that we domesticate this information at every local government level. In our local languages, our people, they are aware of when the flood will come and when the flood will regress. And we have dam in Ogun State. We have the Oyo Dam, and we are working with the Ogun River Basin Development Authority to make sure that when they're going to open the dam, we know. And this year around, we make sure we manage the dam with them now to make sure that our people are not exposed to the risk of mismanagement in any form from anywhere. So in our own little way, we run our policy and we are working with our people and all other agencies that got to do with flood management for the state.
Mr. Olaoresonya, it's good to see you, and it's good to, hear your plans for disaster preparedness in Ogun State. However, we have been told, you have talked about the dams, which was the question I was going to ask you. We've been told that what happened in Niger State was as a result of rain, because initially we thought, maybe a dam was also released, given the volume of water that we saw, gushing through Mokwa. I am just a little curious. Do we have an idea as to what climate pressures we could be facing this year? Because it would seem that the rains that fell were unprecedented. Do we envisage anything of such happening in Ogun State? And if should such a thing happen, do we have the preparedness to be able to withstand it?
All right, thank you, Mokwa. You see, NIMEC did a very good job by giving everybody the information on what's going to happen, the rainfall pattern for this year. And NIMEC predicted precisely that we're going to have this unusual rainfall around June and July. We are still looking for the peak of the rain in July. Rain in July will be, the month of July will be going to almost like about 420 mm of rain in the month of July. So what we had, the rain we had a few weeks ago, all right, was just high precipitation within a very short time. And this will lead to flash flood. Now, that water, okay, there's a spillway in every dam. There's a spillway where instead of the dam breaking off, the water will overflow. That water, when the water overflows the spillway, it will go through its memory lane. Every water has its own memory. Water has its own memory. They have their own pathway. Because you already have a dam, what happens is that downstream, after the dam, you always have a dry land. And because the water has been detained upland, people downstream now believe, oh, this is a dry land. Whereas this area, there are wetlands, there are valleys that the water normally pass through annually. But because the water has been detained upland, they believe it's a dry land, and people go and occupy. Physical planning control should have told them that, look, don't ever. So demolition should have occurred. That, look, don't even stay there. Because the water, anytime you have a spill, like you have in Mokwa now, it will go through that memory lane. And the water itself found its memory, and people who find that memory were wiped out, unfortunately. And I think we have to commiserate with our people. But then, that was the spillway for that water. Talking about in Ogun State, the spillway for the Oyo Dam, we know that real. We know that spillway. We have mapped it out, and the communities have been told. Anywhere, anybody that is occupying, you can occupy it temporarily in the dry season, maybe for farming, but not for physical structure. You cannot put physical structure on that memory path of any river. The water will find its way. And if they are there, it will destroy, it will move anything off. And that's exactly what happened. So preserving those memory lanes for the water You must know, map it out. And it's got to do with valley. It follows gradient. You will see it. If you look at the 3D view of your area, you will have seen it naturally, the natural flow of the water. So it's either you stay there and elevate yourself, or you don't stay there at all. During the rainy season, avoid the spillway. Anything can happen. Water will go from up down.
Mr. Lara.
All right, well, sincere apologies. We are totally out of time, Mr. Olara. I would have loved to take one or two other issues up with you. Thank you so much for the privilege of hosting you this morning, and we wish you all the best. Olara is Commissioner for the Environment in Ogun State. Well, that's our show this morning. Thank you so much for the privilege of being a part of your day. I'm Ayo Makine. Enjoy the rest of it.
Well, thank you so much. I'm Mokwa, Ogun Yusuf. Have a great day.